Tell me how your day was, Elizabeth Forsinger. I know you had iPhoned everybody across the nation about how your day at the office was. Just kidding. This 18-year-old teenager from Cleveland had texted her father inadvertently her little class trip, ending off with her having sex with someone and losing her virginity. Well, she ended up texting her dad, and her dad was none too thrilled about it. Talk about an embarrassing moment for a teenager. Anyway, I was talking about this in the previous videos about how the media focuses on soft news stories. And one in particular is hot teachers and troubled students. Every so often, the media wants to cover a hot teacher having sex with a student, whether it's a young boy or a young girl. The teacher has to be a hot woman, a woman between the ages of 25 and 45. Sometimes they may be older than 50, but most of the time, most of your teachers are between the ages of 25 and 45. And usually they have families of their own. They're either married and they have kids about the age of the student that they had sex with. Anyway, the whole story short is how the media makes these stories so big, and then everybody has sympathy for the teacher and always want to say, well, I wish I was in that class. Maybe I could have got something from the teacher. It's kind of disturbing, Every so often you talk about how people like Kay Letourneau had sex with this young man by the name of Billy Bilal. She spent 7.5 years of her life in prison. She lost her family. She lost her husband. And then out of the ordinary, she got pregnant by Billy Bilal twice and then married him. And of course, Entertainment Tonight gave her the red carpet treatment by giving her access to their wedding. And I don't understand that. That kind of makes me kind of upset. And then channels like Inside Edition and Access Hollywood follow suit. They take pictures of Debra LaFave. They get all the information about her texting these students her naked pictures. And then when she gets a secondary job, she talks about having sex with young men. And then all of a sudden the media is all on fire about it. I mean, come on now. Can we give these women the least bit of our attention? Their 15 minutes of shame is over. As you notice, I put down a list of all the women who had sex with teenagers, whether they're boys or girls. I don't care what they had done. They had done it in the school, and they had done it outside the school walls, and they were supposed to be mentors to these troubled youth. Sometimes I think that if I was in high school, maybe I should have had sex with the teacher. I mean, I had crushes on teachers and professors at college before. Does that make me guilty? I mean, usually a male student usually feels like it's a rite of passage for them to have sex with the teacher, especially a hot teacher, especially that's like in their 20s. Most of the students out there are sexually active, and most of them end up getting pregnant, or they'll end up getting the teacher pregnant, and there you go. The media takes it away. But then again, they got male teachers having sex with young women and young boys and young girls, and I think to myself, well, there's a double standard. I mean, every time a male teacher has sex with a student, they're perverts. Whenever a female teacher has sex with a student, they're goddesses. They're Jay Leno, they're David Letterman jokes. I mean, come on now. The media loves to make these stories because they have nothing better to do in order to get our guilt trip up by doing these stories. I mean, they talking about stories that don't really apply to what's really going on in our country. I mean, sometimes people like to listen to those stories, but for me, I don't like listening to it, and that's why I stand against the corporate-owned media. I explained this in the last couple of videos about missing white woman syndrome, where they focus on missing pretty white women and pretty white girls, and they neglect to focus on white men, black women, Latino women, Arab American women. They focus on pretty kids, not ugly kids. Now, once again, let me stress that no child is ugly. But every so often, I kind of figured that the media is very selective in how they do these stories. And sometimes I think that every time I hear about another teacher having sex with another student, it kind of makes me think, why wasn't I not in these classes them days when them teachers were feeling horny? Maybe I gave them the love. Now, you may say I'm kind of sick for saying that, but hey, it seems like every other teacher's doing it. Whether they're a male teacher or a female teacher, it's still wrong. I mean, these are supposed to be educators who are professionals, who are trying to motivate teenagers to get into college, try to have successful jobs, try to get through life in general without having the depression of school, bullying, and all this other junk. And I guess the teacher takes advantage of that because they know when to get a weak student. I mean, what does it take to be the teacher's pet? I mean, do you have to get a 6'9"? Do you have to take steamy text messages to the teacher? Do you got to throw spit wads at your friend? I mean, come on now. Is detention that good? Once again, I post videos demanding the media to stop with the soft news stories. Focus on hard news stories. I mean, most of our media is corrupted. I mean, they're going to claim it's liberal bias. No, it's corporate-owned media that's biased. It doesn't matter if it's conservative or liberal. It's just a matter of what is important and what's not important. And I honestly think that having sex with students is not important to me. If a teacher wants to have sex with a student, so be it. They risk their teaching license, their families, and their freedom. That's all I got to say about it. But if they want to holler at me, come on, holler at me. I mean, I'm single. I don't have nobody to love. But if you want to love me, come on, teachers. Come to my place. I'm open for suggestions. I mean, I want to get an A+, right? Anyway, thank you once again for visiting me on YouTube. For those who are watching, happy holidays.